are live right now. Fantastic. All right. So everyone, welcome to joining our session. And without further ado, let us invite our lovely speaker, Rahul Sharma, who is already ready and turned on his video already. So Rahul, are you ready?
Hey, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So whosoever joining from different parts of the world, and thanks for joining, and thanks to QA Talks community to give this opportunity and to take or to share the knowledge with all of you here about. So I'm going to present about API low code automation, and shall I start with my presentation?
You can, or do you want me to give a brief introduction of you for like 10 seconds?
Yeah, I'll give that. So
Right.
I'm working as a QA and test automation engineer with Atos, and recently I started using the tool called Idaithalam, and the tool comes from Virtualan software, and it's a very nice tool, and it helped me a lot in terms of saving time and efforts in my project. So I thought to share with everyone, and I use QA Talk community platform, to take this learning to as many people as I can. So that's why I'm here with you all. So can I start now? Can I share my screen?
You bet. Yes, you can start now.
Perfect.
No problem, Rahul. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you. Okay, so hope my screen is visible.
It's currently loading, but we can see, yes, it is visible. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get started. So as I said, I'm going to talk about Idaithalam. It's a low code, or I would say no code, API workflow automation tool. And so basically in today's world, our major focus is on after unit testing. The testers comes in picture when we have to perform API test automation, and after that UI automation. So the first stage is, to perform API test automation, and where this tool called Idaithalam is going to help you to resolve the current enterprise challenges that we face in today's, world. So let me move to next slide. So this is my agenda that I'm going to talk about. The first one is why API test automation is important. What is the problem statement that I was having, and how Idaithalam is, has helped me to resolve that problem. I will give you a quick test automation demo of a REST API call, how to automate that using the tool. And I will also talk about the current enterprise level challenges that most of us people face who perform API test automation, and how the tool is going to help to resolve those challenges. I will also share a live demo, a practical demo of end-to-end API workflow automation, where I will show how different APIs get orchestrated end-to-end, and how we can automate the APIs end-to-end. Also, I will share some brief details about the CI/CD CT integration. Will showcase the pipeline that I have created in Jenkins, and will take some Q&A after that. So this is the test pyramid that I have taken from. So this is the image that I got from Google, and I think most of us are aware of this test pyramid, that in the bottom we have unit test stage, and then followed by service integration, and then UI test automation or UI testing. So the unit test cases are mostly performed by the developers, and then service integration or API test will be taken care by the testers, and UI also will be taken care by the testers. So why API testing is important? Because it validates the application business logic behind your application, right? So there is no interface, but all the business logics, all the the UI is interacting with your APIs, and all the business logics are in your APIs. So API test automation is very important because it quickly validates and verifies all the functionalities behind your application. It also enables you to have the short release cycles. It gives the capability to move to production very quickly with the help of these tests. Basically, you are attesting your software with the help of API tests. It also consumes lower cost when it compares to UI test automation. It takes less maintenance and obviously less efforts when it compares to UI test automation. It yields the highest ROI when it compares to other sort of testing that are being performed by testers. And we can also have high testing coverage with the help of API tests. So that's why API test automation is important. Okay, so this was my problem statement from where I started with this tool Idaithalam and Virtualan software. So the problem statement was, in my project, I was struggling with in sprint automation because in current, in today's world, we all try to follow agile methodologies, safe agile, and we work in sprints, right? And mostly what we were facing is we were not able to achieve the in sprint automation. So basically, our testing user stories are getting carry forward to the next sprint, and then it was creating a lot of backlog when it comes to automation. And due to that, we were not able to find the defects also, because the automation we were not able to achieve in the sprints, and it was creating some issues. So with the help of Idaithalam, this tool significantly resolved that problem, I would say. And the second problem statement was multiple dry runs. So when we write, when we perform API test automation using different frameworks that are available right now in market, where we have to first create a framework, and very good framework where we have to configure different things. We have to create runner classes. We have to configure reporting, and we have to basically create a framework that can perform all those activities that we need as output. So in those things, we have to write scripts, and then we have to perform multiple dry runs. Suppose I write a test case and then I run it, and then I added one more test case, I run it. So we have to perform multiple dry runs. So also in agile world, we create feature files in the form of given when then format, that is BDD format, right? So whenever we revise anything in the script or in the feature file, we have to go through the dry run. But with this tool, you can easily maintain your test scenarios, because you don't need to create your feature file. It is auto generated in given when then format, and whenever you make changes in your scenarios, the feature file will be updated automatically. The third one would be the feature file executed locally, then Git. Yeah. So as I said, so first you have to create feature file manually, and then after once you get confidence that your feature files are working fine in your local, then you place your code to Git repository, and then through Jenkins you execute that. But here with Idaithalam tool, what you can do, you can just write your test cases directly in the Excel, and I'll come on that part, how you create the test cases in Excel. And basically there is no dependency on IDE, even it's IntelliJ or Eclipse or anything. There is only one dependency on Excel. Directly you can push your Excel to GitLab, and directly Jenkins can pick it up and then execute your test cases. Okay, so the fourth problem statement was having continuous automation maintenance. As I already said, that was an impediment in DevSecOps. And the skill gap, which I generally see when someone from my team move to some other project or left organization, or someone new joins the team. So the framework, which if we use a scripted framework, and if we have a lot of scripts of regression or the automation, then the person who joins the team will take some sort of time to learn, and to get into the space where he can quickly automate the next test case. But with this tool, the person from the very first day, he can start automating the test cases from scratch. So these were the problem statement in my case, and all of these problem statement got solved with the help of Idaithalam. Let me move to this. So this is kind of a block diagram that I've put in to showcase how Idaithalam works. So if you see here, so first we have to write the test cases in Excel. The workflow need to be created in Excel, and then it will generate the test scripts and feature file. And once the feature file is generated, it will execute those feature files and generate the report. Very good looking Cucumber HTML report. We will come to that part, how the reports look like and how it is generating that report. So as I said, these are the solution of my problem statement. So I found that Idaithalam is a low-code test automation tool. It uses Cucumber and BDD to generate and to execute the test cases. The fourth one is it is having the ability to build the test cases in Excel and also through Postman directly. But today in this session, we are going to talk about Excel because most of us are familiar with Excel, and there are no scripting dependencies. I can say that just we have to do couple of configurations, 2 or 3 configurations in the framework, and you are good to execute your test cases. So basically, if you want to automate your test cases and in a span of half an hour, you would be able to do that. So there is no configuration, no much configuration, and no scripting needed, and you can save 80% of time and efforts. And these are the savings in my project that I have mentioned here. Yeah, so this slide helps you to understand how a non-technical person or a person who don't know scripting or who don't want to script for the API test can run the API test very smoothly. So if you see, there are 2 layers. So in the first layer, you see tester, SME, product owner. So whosoever is there in the project can start the API automation and contribute in the testing. What he have to do, because everyone is familiar of Excel's, Microsoft Excel, so they can create the test case in Excel, and after that the Excel need to be feed in the framework, and after that the tool can take care of everything. It will convert that in, it will read the Excel, convert that in JSON, create the feature file, and then execute the feature file and generate a report. And once the report is generated, once again this layer, you see the people basically so that control will transfer to the people, and we can see the very nice HTML Cucumber reports. So if you see, there are only 2 steps: create the test cases in Excel and see the report. There is no step that we have to perform from our end. So this is the tech stack that the tool use, the framework use. It uses Java, REST Assured, and Cucumber. And it supports database testing and Kafka event testing also. Stay tuned for the coming sessions where some more speakers are there in line, and they are going to speak about how to perform database testing and Kafka event testing using the same tool. Let me move to the next slide now. Okay, so it's a demo time. So let me present you a quick demo for the tool. So I'm going to present how to automate a REST API. So this is my Excel sheet. So this is a Excel sheet where we have certain columns, and let me talk about these columns. So the column A, it means we have to pass the test case name here. What is the type of API? It's a REST. The column C, resource. I'll talk about it when I'll come to the framework. So just be patient over here. The column 4, here we have to pass the description of the test case name based on your choice. Column 5th is or column E is URL. In this column we have to pass the endpoint URL. Column F is the action that we want to perform, the HTTP method, right? So the get, post, put, delete, patch, or it again totally depend on your requirement. What is the content type? What is the content type of your API? It can be application JSON, it can be text, or any other content type. So whatever content type you have, just pass it in this column G. Status code. So this would be my first validation point. So what I am going to validate is I'm going to validate the status code, and in my case I'm going to validate whether it's 200 or not. If in case you want to do negative testing, then and if you want to validate 500 or something, you can just pass that status code and it will be validated. in response by field. So here, because it's a get request, so here in response by field, we are validating the response, basically using the JSON path. So in the response, we have a parameter. We are getting a parameter called status. The parameter is having the value available, and we are validating the value available. So this is going to validate that. And if we come here, comma separated JSON. So in the response, we got some fields, and we are getting, we are validating those fields with this in this column. Let me move this ahead. So in the response, we are getting date of birth, first name, last name, and all these parameters, key value parameters. And with these values, date of birth is this, first name is Bill, last name is Gates. So this is how we have to pass the values in this column, and all these values will get validated from the response of this API. So the tags column, it will help you to give identity to your test cases, and it will tag them accordingly. So if you want to, suppose there are test cases of sprint wise, you want to run this test case for sprint 1, you want to run this test case second one for sprint 2, you can create tag sprint 1 and sprint 2. Similarly, if you want to run this for regression and this is your for in sprint automation, so basically it's your choice how you want to give the tags and you want to give the identity to your test cases. So these are two scenarios, and in the Excel that I have created for get request, and hope this Excel, I think it's not a very difficult one. Just we have to pass the endpoint URL and a couple of details to get the test case validated. Now let me move to the framework or the tool, how it looks like, and what is the framework structure. So this is the framework structure. You need to download it from the Virtualan website. And once you download it, so it looks like this. It comes with the basic folders. So here it will come with test folder. There you have to create. So it will come with this runner class. So here what you have to do. So this is the runner class that we are going to execute to run the test case. But before explaining the runner class, let me move to the resource folder. And here first I'll explain the property file. So this is my YAML file for this particular execution. So in my YAML file, there are a couple of parameters. If you see the report title, so the report title, the report will generate with this name, REST get example. So again, it's all your choice. You have the freedom to give the name to your report. The environment, on which environment you want to run your test case. Output directory. So the output directory here, it will have the details of your feature files. So we'll see how output directory will generate. So inside target folder, there will be a folder called REST get. So their output, their feature file in given when then format will be generated. Input Excel. So from where the Excel need to be or what is the path of the Excel in your framework. So the path is inside REST folder. I have placed it here. If you see inside resource REST, this is my Excel that I was explaining a few seconds back. Output JSON directory. So again, where the report, the Cucumber report need to be generated, you just need to provide the directory path, and we are good to go. And the last parameter is we have to pass the endpoint URL here of our API or the server we are hitting. So here, if you see, you remember when I was explaining the Excel. Let me move to the other Excel. The column C, I mentioned that I will talk about this in a while. So the resource column. So basically, this is a kind of a key between the framework and between the Excel. So this is the resource value that you have to pass. If you pass Rahul here, your name, and the same name you have to pass in the column C. So this is a kind of key which the framework will, with the help of which the framework will read the Excel in your scenarios. So this is about the property file. Now let me move to the executor, the runner class. So in your runner class, you don't need to do anything. You just need to pass your property file name, and that's it. So as of now, what you have done, you have just mentioned few details in your property file, and in the test runner class, you are just passing the name of the property file, and that's it. You don't need to perform any other action, and you are good to execute your test case from Excel. So now let me execute the test case. Let me go to the terminal. So I'm running the test case using ambient clean test command. Okay, it looks like. One moment. I think. I think there is some problem with the Maven. It was working fine. Just a second. Sorry for that. I think I'll look into that, but for now, I think it's working. So if you see, it started compiling. Yeah, so test cases are getting executed now. So running test suite. So basically now it is reading the test cases from Excel. So now it is loading. If you see, load initial set of data from Excel. So this is the console log that it gives you information what is happening at the background. So these are all tags. You remember I was explaining about tags. So this is the scenario. Read user info example API call. If we scroll down, so you see here the values that we has passed in the Excel. So it is created in the BDD step format. In the you see then the status code is 200. So we don't need to create the feature file. And these are the parameters, or these are the validation point that we are validating. We are validating ID, name, status, and these are the values. The name is empty, status is available, that we are validating. Yeah, so it's finished. So let me see. So the target folder is generated. Do you see that? So let me go here. Yeah, so target folder is generated. And here, if we see in Idaithalam folder, the report is getting generated. And let me open the report. Let me open it in browser. Yeah, perfect. So this is how the report looks like. And so you can see all the details here, the pass, fail. So there are basically three scenarios that are getting executed. If we click on here, so this is the first scenario where this is a default scenario where it will read the Excel every time. It says whether the Excel, the data is getting transferred from Excel to the framework or not. And these are our actual scenarios for get. So if you want to expand that, and if you want to see the breakdown, so the given a user perform an API action, and this is the content type that we pass in the Excel. What is the request data? We can check the request data. So these are the details. Actual response. So this is the actual response that we got from the API. And what we have validated the date of birth, which is this, and it is here in the response. If you see, first name Bill, last name Gates, right? So this is how it is validating, and you can see the actual response in JSON format here. In the second API, if you want to see the breakdown, so this is the breakdown for second API, and this is actual response. So status code is 200, which is getting validated, and here we are validating ID as 200, name should be empty, and the status should be available. So this is the actual response that we got, and the status is available. So this is how it is getting, the reports are getting generated, and it is executing the test cases. This was an example of get call, and sorry for the hiccups in between. Let me move ahead. Okay, so let me explain. So I have already explained you the steps, but I think this diagram is going to give you a clear understanding what we have done so far. So we had the API request, and we got the response in JSON array or object format. We got the actual API response, and after that we are comparing the response with the parameter that we want to validate, and also either we can compare the full response, full JSON response, or we can compare some values from the response. So those values are coming from the comma separated JSON that we have passed in the Excel. Let me show that. So here you remember, so these are the values that we pass in comma separated JSON. And if the expected is equal to the actual result, then our execution is completed. If not, then it will attach the failures, and then the execution is completed. So this block diagram will help you to understand how the framework is getting how the framework is running the API test. Let me move to the next slide. So here in this slide, I have mentioned the current enterprise level challenges which are being addressed by the tool, and I hope you would be able to relate to it. So in current enterprise, the general challenges with API test automation are, so people are not able to perform in sprint automation. This was a case in my scenario, so I have mentioned this. Dependency of manual testing to find the defects. So basically, still people are doing test automation, but if you ask them how many defects you find through automation, you will get that the automation is capable to find the defects. Anyways, people have to rely on manual testing to find the defects. So basically, we have to make use of more of test API automation. The high maintenance of automation framework and test scripts. So as I mentioned in my first slide, that because when we get dependent on the test scripts, then it comes with the maintenance of it, right? So that this is a challenge for API test automation, because it takes a lot of time and efforts. In this point, this is a challenge when people with only good scripting skills can only automate the API test. But with this tool, you don't need any scripting skills, and you would be able to test your test cases on your own without writing any single line of script. There is no learning curve. As I said, Everyone knows how to work on Excel, and everyone is familiar of Excel. They just have to fill the details in Excel and just run the test cases through the framework, and they will get the good HTML Cucumber report. Non-technical team members also can contribute or participate in API test automation. For example, in your team, your BAs, your product owners are there, and they can automate the APIs on their own, and it can help to move to take the product to production very quickly, because you'll get the support from many other non-technical team members. Difficulty in achieving CI/CD CT integration. So when we have bulky frameworks, when we have big frameworks, so people are struggling to automate the test cases, and they are not able to move those execution or those test cases to the CI/CD CT integration. But because with Idaithalam, the framework is very simple, very easy to be executed. It's very simple to integrate your CT jobs with CI/CD pipelines. And it will also resolve the problem in the delays in release cycle, because in the very early stage, you are running your test automation with your CI/CD deployments, and it will help you to take your product, or to take your software, to take your code to the production very quickly. Let me go to the next slide. So here I am going to talk about the response compare, how this tool compare the response in the Excel. And we have already discussed about the Excel. I'm just going to take a few more seconds on that. So here we saw these headings, right? Request content, response content, store response variable, and execute function variables. So here we have to pass the request body in this column. If the response, if we want to validate the complete response, then we pass the value here. And if we want to store the complete response, so basically store response variable column comes in picture when we want to parameterize the test cases. I will explain the Excel how we want to parameterize. But before that, let me tell you how to store the value in the variables. So here I am storing the complete response in this variable called risk factor, and I am giving a dot with the dot parameter. I am storing the complete value. Also, you can store the variable, or you can store the value in the variable with the help of JSON path. So this is the JSON path of the response. So what I am doing here, I am storing the value of name in the parameter called tag name. Similarly, in evaluate function variable, here we are comparing value with using Excel functions. So if you see here, I am using C parameter, which is for compare. I am comparing risk factor value, which is equal to 65 or not from the response. And if it is success, it will pass. If it is not, it will fail. The negative test case would be the length of tag name, is 3, right? But it's not 3, right? In our case, then it will fail. Response by field column. So here again, you can verify the response with the help of JSON path. I was explaining here also. So here we have used the JSON path to store the value, but here we are validating, we are verifying the response value. So suppose, for example, in your response, you are getting a key value pair called status, which is having a value called available. Then how you are going to validate that? So you just need to pass status equals to available, then it will get validated. The second parameter that you want to validate from the response is the name, which should be red. But the name is key is present inside an array, which is tags, right? So then you have to pass a JSON path to get that value validated. In the comma separated JSON, if you see here, verify more number of fields in API response. So suppose in your API response, you have a you have a very big API response in JSON format, and you have different, multiple instances of these key values, ID, name, and status. Then how you are going to validate that? So you just have to pass the value for ID to not one, name it's empty, status is available. and these three values are being validated. And I think we have seen that in the Excel, how we have passed that in the last one. Edify variable, here we are just creating a variable with name start date. Suppose in your request you want to pass the start date, and so basically it is dynamic variable we are creating here, dynamic, and we can also create a static variable. So with the help of Excel function, which is text, we are creating a variable called start date, and this variable can be passed in the request body or in the subsequent APIs. I will show you how these things works in the next slide or next example. Also, the same scenario happens with expiry date. Here we can use substitute function, and we can create a variable called expiry date, and this value can be used. And also, when it comes to additional capabilities of the tool, so it supports authentication, Okta authentication, and JWT authentications, and it can also able to perform special kind of validations like length. You can validate the null values. You can use message aggregation in your test case. Okay, let me move to the next slide. So report. I think we have seen the report. So this is how the report looks like. And when it comes to continuous testing with Jenkins, let me show you how it works. This is my Jenkins job created. And if I execute this, so what I have done is I have pushed my code. I have pushed my code to the GitLab repository, and I have created a Jenkins job. And if I show you the Jenkins file, so this is my Jenkins file. So the compile stage, testing stage, do you see that? So it's not a complex script that we have to write. This is a simple script, and with the help of that, the report is generated like this. If we go to Cucumber report, do you see these are the scenarios that are getting executed? Because in my Git repository there are multiple workflows I have created, so it has generated the report for all of them. And if you want to see the report of any of the scenario, we just need to click on the feature. Okay, so we want to check how many scenarios get executed. We get inside, and this is the breakdown of the steps. For the second scenario, this is the breakdown. So what has been passed, what has been validated, everything can be easily checked from the report. Yeah, so this is about the report. And okay, so now it comes to the end-to-end workflow automation. So here I am going to once again explain you one Excel where different API calls are being orchestrated with each other, and we have parameterized the variables and how we are going to execute that. So this is a kind of calls that are interacting with each other. First login call, and it will generate the token, and then we are reading the customer ID, then customer details, creating insurance code, and then process ID, and then accept the code. So all these 6 APIs are interacting with one another, and it's in an end-to-end flow how we are going to validate through Excel. Let me go to the Excel and we'll explain that. So this is the Excel to accept the code. So here in my first call, this is a call for authentication, or I would say the call which will generate the token for authentication. I think by now we know the meaning of all these columns. So let me move ahead. So here we have to pass the endpoint URL for authentication, and it's a post request. Content type is application JSON. Status code is 200, and this is my request content. So in request content, I am passing email and password. And from where the values are coming here, the values are coming here from the framework. Let me open the property file. So this is the property file.
All right,
So
Rahul,
here,
we are nearing the end of the session. Will you be able to wrap up so that we can move to the Q&A and quiz?
sure, I'll take three more minutes. Is that okay?
Can you do it in 2?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do that. No problem. So here, from here, I'm getting the values of parameters. And similarly, so if you see here, so in the store response variable, I have stored the value token, right? And this value token is getting passed in the subsequent API in the request header. Similarly, the customer ID is getting stored here from the response and is getting passed here in the endpoint URL. And in the store response variable, these values are getting stored and we are passing these values in the request body. So this is how the parameters are getting stored and passed in the orchestrated manner. Yeah, so these are the 6 API calls which are orchestrated with each other. And just to execute them, so meanwhile it is getting executed, and because I think have 1 more minute left. So let me move to the next slide. So these are the tutorials and working demo projects where you can find all the details about how to onboard this tool and how to give a try. And I'm sure that it won't take more than 15 to 20 minutes to get started to give a try. And I suggest you to give a try to understand how much efforts and how much time it can save for you, for your client, for your project. Yeah, so now we'll move to the Q&A.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Rahul Sharma, for your presentation and demonstration. So we will now move on to the Q&A session, and we already have some questions already in the Q&A box. So let's get right to it. So the first question is, what is the difference between Selenium and Idaithalam?
Sorry, what is the difference between
Selenium and Idaithalam?
Yeah, so in Selenium, basically, it's a IDE, right? In Idaithalam, I'll talk about Idaithalam. So here you just need to provide the details in the Excel, and you don't need to write any script. But in Selenium, you do need to write the script, right? You need to automate the test cases through script.
All right, nice. And the next question is, how do we input XL format? Is it available in the tool itself?
Yes, it's available in the tool itself.
Fantastic. Loving the very succinct answers, Rahul. The next question is from Amir. How to validate complex JSON response in case if we have nested array in response?
Yeah, so that can be, it can be done using comma separated JSON. And if you go to, I'll share the GitHub link of this particular project, and there you will see an Excel where you will get the details.
All right, very nice. The next question is, can we test a complete flow of multiple APIs, output of previous row API to be input for the second row API?
Yeah, I think I did explain that in the last Excel where, you are passing the value in the orchestrated way from one API to the other.
All right. Another question is, can we integrate Idaithalam with any other reporting tool apart from Cucumber HTML reports?
Yeah, I think you need to check with the owner of the tool, Virtualan Software. I think they can get the answer. They will answer this question for you.
All right, and the final question from Shiv Kumar is, MVN clean test is the standard command to run?
Yeah, this is you can use ambient install also, ambient clean install also, so that
Oh,
both command will work.
nice. Oh, we do have one more question from Anu. Oh, the questions keep coming in. Luckily for them, we have a bit more time, so we can do this.
Sure.
So another question is, any specific reason for going with Excel format?
Yeah, the reason is, as I said, because we are trying to move from scripted way of working to low code, right? So, and when it comes to different IDEs and all, many people are not familiar with all the tools, and Excel is the tool which everyone is familiar of. So when it comes to non-technical people, the business analysts, the product owners, or someone in your team, even if he don't have worked on any tool, I'm sure he have worked on Excel in the school days, right? So Excel is very simple tool to start with, and it gives the capability to automate the test cases very quickly and effectively.
And the final question is this completely free or is there a paid version for extra features?
Yeah, it's open source. Yes.
Open source. Oh, we have one more question. Can we do validation of complex? This was already answered, right? Can we do validation of complex JSON response?
Yes, I do have in my. So yeah, let me just take 10 more seconds. I do have very complex JSON responses. Big JSON request, big JSON response of 1,000 lines, and I do automate that, and I do validate the responses very easily with the help of Excel using. So we have a column called comma separated JSON. You just have a look to the GitHub repository or get in touch with the owner of the tool. His name is Ilan, and he will help you out with all the answers. He helped me actually.
All right, and that concludes the lovely Q&A session. Thank you so much, Rahul Sharma, for your presentation this session.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Rahul. Now, you all have guessed it. Now is the time for our quiz session regarding Rahul's session. So I hope all of you paid attention so that you can do well in this quiz. And let me invite our quiz master, Manish, to the stage.
Thank you, Daniel. So this is the time to check whether the audience was with the Rahul presentation or not. Okay, so before starting, let me share my screen. Hope my screen is visible and you can see the leaderboard. So these are the top 5 guys, and still those missed last time to register. Still, you can scan this code from the mobile, or you can go to the slido.com and search for this event and can join from your desktop or mobile or laptop, anywhere. Okay, so still you have a chance to win, guys. Okay, so I appreciate. Okay, so are we ready? Okay, so here we go with the first question.
Aha, we just answered this question. Aha.
So let's see. Even I believe Daniel also can play. Okay, still people have some confusion, but yeah, so majority says true. Let's move to the next question. Here you go. Okay, same way. So let's see. True. Next question. Okay. Ready for next question, guys? Here you go. Okay. Good. So the final question of this session. Ready? There you go. I think there will be some change in leaderboard now. Let's see. Oh my God.
Let's see.
Oh my God. What is the correct answer then? False. Okay. So here you go for the leaderboard. Okay. We got
Wow.
changes. We got new entry. Okay. Guys, keep it up. Thanks for your time. Over to you, Daniel. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Manish. And as Manish has just said, if you have not yet joined the quiz, no problem. The QR code is there available to you. Just scan it and join whenever you are ready and available. And then if you get the questions correct enough, you can still make it into the leaderboard. No issue. Just do your best and pay attention to the sessions. All right, this has come to the end and we have concluded the session by Rahul Sharma. Thank you again, Rahul Sharma, for your wonderful presentation and demonstration. We have now reached the end. Yes, any thank you for Rahul? Yes, Rahul, would you like to say thank you to the audience? I think I heard you.
Thanks everyone. I think this is a great opportunity to learn different tools and technology in the low code space. So stay tuned for the coming speakers, coming sessions, and it will definitely help you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you. Speaking of the upcoming speaker, our next speaker is coming up right now. So all you have to do is just wait for me to end this session, which will happen in the next few seconds. So I will end this session. You will all be transported back to the lobby. And from the lobby, all you have to do is just join the next session that's going to be held by Madhuri Modi. So, all right, see you guys in the next session. And remember, if you are watching this from mobile, be sure to switch to desktop for the best Zoom events experience. All right, see you guys in the next session by Madhuri.